That makes sense. Yeah, no, that's a pretty cool ideology.
Yeah, it helped me start all this. But anyways, before we go any further, welcome everyone to the Whitepill podcast. Here with me today, I have Rudy. Thank you for coming on.
For sure, no worries. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you making that time. Um, the the post that I first found you on, I believe, I'm just gonna try to find. I don't know if this is the original, but it was this tool that you had made to essentially help you with your lifting technique.
Mhm.
Is that just like something that came as, I mean, like how did that idea come to you? Is it just you're just thinking about it? Oh, why not? Like I can just do this. I got a phone. I got a camera. There's AI. There's tech. I can make it happen.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm quite like big into fitness, and I've always wanted to try to build something that is along the lines of like fitness and tech. And then I've always had this like idea of building my own like fitness app because I have like issues with all the ones that are out in the market now. But when I was just sort of talking about stuff like this with some of my friends, I just had an idea that I could try like just for like the sake of it, seeing if I could try to analyze my form with AI. So I think this was like after New Year's. I was at the gym. I was squatting. I got a couple of videos, and I was like, cool. Um, Let me just like spend the night busting out a script that can do this. And it looked hella cool, so I posted it on Twitter, and it blew up like way bigger than I imagined it to be. So after that, I had like people asking me for the script and everything. But I thought it would be cooler if I could just build it in like its own service. So I spent like about 24 to 36-ish hours building out like the website and everything. And yeah, that's how it sort of blew up, I guess.
So you said you built a website for the platform.
Yeah, yeah. So I posted it like a couple of days after the main squat, but the website is roastmysquat.com.
I'm guessing you didn't have any trouble getting that
Not at all.
that URL. Oh
Yeah.
wow. Okay, interesting. And I'm guessing this works on mobile as well, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, it does. And all the models like run on device itself, so there's like no privacy concerns or anything like that.
Mm, okay. So theoretically, yeah, instead of making it an app, you could just like make it a shortcut on your home screen whenever you need to evaluate like a video of a lift, and then just pop that bad boy in there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. The only like drawback of doing this via a browser is that I'm like for the sake of having it run at a decent speed, I'm limited by like the size of the model I can put in.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been like experimenting with trying to make this into like a native iOS app so I can actually like put in a better model, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense. That's cool. So you envision this becoming like a bigger platform? You're thinking of like maybe even like making a whole like fitness app that could, I don't know, like what other diagnostics would you want to run, or would this be like the only one that you have your eyes on right now?
So I've tried it out with like other exercises, but I haven't really like shared them publicly yet. So
Mm-hmm.
this only works with squats, but the underlying technology is would be the same for everything else. Just the analysis of the output would differ. So I've tried it with like dumbbell bench pressing and stuff like that, and it works decently well. So I've been trying to get it working in like an iOS app, but I've never worked with Swift before, so it's been a little challenging.
Mm-hmm. And do you think you would ever expand to something like using wearables as a kind of like input for that like the model that you have here? Would that even be useful data at all to you?
I'm not sure what the possibility is of like having like an Apple Watch tell you something about like the exercise you're doing outside of like your heart rate or an estimate on like the calories burned and stuff like that. I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
would be valuable information in general, but maybe not so for like form analysis.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay. And there's not really like fitness apps out there that are doing something like this, right?
Form analysis? I don't think so. um, at least from like what I've heard from other people, there's not many companies that are doing stuff like this, which is quite interesting because I feel like it would be quite like helpful for people, or like quite obvious that this would be something that would be helpful.
Well, I mean, one idea that comes to mind for me, anyways, is this might not be useful to the average user as much as it would be useful to an athlete or a professional gym that is, developing athletes for something like the Olympics. I mean, I'm sure they have like plenty of their own diagnostics and ways that they review like game tape and footage and whatnot. But I mean, I genuinely would not be surprised if you're able to shop this around to a couple of coaches or gyms like that, and they would actually find it really useful for their training regimen.
I can definitely see that happening. When the original post blew up, I had like a couple of people in my DMs who were like saying they were coaches that would prefer to use this for their clients.
Hmm.
But I still like envision this as something for beginners in the gym to benefit off of, because when you're starting out, you don't know what to do. You don't know what you're doing is right or not. And if this project can sort of give you like even like a 90% accurate summary of your form, and like help you make it better even by like the slightest margin, when you're starting out, all that stuff is it like adds up quite a bit and is like really beneficial.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, like there's plenty of tutorials and whatnot, but no, I'm right there with you. Like when the first couple times that I went to the gym, it was just the whole experience was just very daunting. I was like, fuck,
Hmm.
everybody's fucking jacked. There's always a couple of other people that are just starting their first day, and you could tell right away. Um, but you're just looking around, you're like, fuck, everybody looks like they know what they're doing. Everybody's like staring intensely into walls and shit, like got their headphones blaring, wearing like all this tight outfits, and I'm like, man, all right, this is I'm gonna have to find my own way through here.
Yeah, dude, I can't even lie. Like the staring into walls thing is so accurate because when you're like between sets, like you're not really like processing anything. You're just there waiting for like the time to pass.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can imagine it'd be hella intimidating for somebody stepping into the gym for the first time.
Oh yeah, no, the worst is like when you go to a gym that it like there's not much to stare at, or like everything
Hmm.
is just painted like the same, like so there's not even anything that you could use to even distract yourself, so you're just kind of sitting there. Or even those that like with the way that they do their floor placement is you're just staring at people passing by and you're like, I'm not staring, there's nowhere else to look. I don't like
Yeah,
I like, what do you want me to do?
yeah. So I'm lucky in the sense that like 85 to 90% of the time I work out in like my building's gym.
Hmm.
So there's like not that many people there at any given time, and it's relatively small. So that's not really an issue for me that much. But anytime I'm on like the campus gym or anything like that, that's when it gets a bit weird.
Oh yeah, because then like you're dealing with like people your age. You're not even dealing with
Yeah,
like
yeah, exactly.
old people or whatever. You're just like you're actually dealing with your cohorts. People that you're like technically in competition with for a mate. I don't know if you could put it like that, but like you're just all in that same
I
kind of
guess.
bubble. You know?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like it's kind of awkward. But
Uh,
yeah.
no, I hear you. I hear you. I have a Planet Fitness membership that doesn't get used as much as it should, but out of all the gyms, I can see why it has the reputation that it does because man, it is fucking it is grimy. And the other weird thing I am the amount of propaganda that they have on the walls, like actual propaganda. I know I didn't think of it this way, but they just have all these like texts and like all these lines of like words, and they all just have these messages of like, oh, it's okay to like be yourself. It's okay to like everyone's welcome here. And I was thinking like, okay, I could understand that to an extent why they would have that messaging, but also like we're all here because we don't like what we look like or
Hmm.
how we feel about our day. We want to improve ourselves by putting ourselves through like just sheer pain. This isn't a happy place. I don't have fun at the gym. I I feel pain and I force myself to feel pain, and then when I'm done with it I feel better. It's just
Right.
it's
Yeah.
weird how they go about it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen those compilations on like YouTube of like people doing like the wackiest stuff at Planet Fitness? Like
Oh
those
my
videos
fucking
are
god.
always like mind blowing.
I saw this one guy do an upside down Spider-Man hang in one of these compilations, not actually like at any of these gyms, but
Hmm.
yeah, that's the other thing because Planet Fitness has such a low barrier to entry. You're gonna get all sorts of people in there. I've never seen anything like this, but man,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I understand where Planet Fitness comes from because like, you want people to be fit and healthy, but at the same time, I feel like they could benefit from, some sort of personal trainer available for people to like do like proper exercises and not injure themselves, all that stuff.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they serve a place in the market. They have to obviously there has to be somebody that's able to cater to people that like can't afford highfalutin memberships. Like there's a gym where I live, just literally across the block from me, bro. $250 membership a month.
Wait, is it Equinox?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, bro. Oh my God.
You ever been in one of
I
those?
worked out at yeah, I worked out at Equinox with like one of my friends. Like he brought me in with him through a guest pass.
Mm-hmm.
And that gym is so fancy for no reason. Like
Oh yeah.
my whole review of it was that it offered me personally like no additional benefit because I can get like my entire workout done in my building gym, which has like barely any machines. So I just didn't see like the benefit of Equinox for somebody like me.
You know what the benefit is? I'll tell you what the benefit is. The benefit is that you're not mixing with the pores. That's
Oh, that's
that,
crazy.
well no, I mean, look, I rich people are able to pay for an experience where they don't have to be, in line for a half hour. They don't have to, worry about a machine getting taken by somebody at the gym. Like they don't have to worry about these things. That's what having a lot of money affords you is just you're able to have these experiences and there's less friction involved because you're able to just walk in, go to your machine, do your set, whatever, walk out. You're not dealing with crazies. I guarantee you they got a good security team there. I guarantee you they got solid insurance for any stuff that's stolen in the lockers. I bet they cater like everything to that kind of clientele. So I get it. They gotta make their money that way.
That's fair. I've also seen like people like joining Equinox gyms just to network with others. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's some next level stuff.
Yeah. It's like it's a completely different world to them. I mean, the facilities that they have access to, it's insane. Equinox is like one of the worst ones in terms of pricing that I know of in Toronto, but there's also a lot of these sauna and cold plunge spaces that have been opening up in the last couple of years, and their memberships are
Hmm.
plenty pricey too. I never thought it'd be so expensive to go to a sauna.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, cold plunges aren't actually like super beneficial for muscle growth. Like I think they help out with like recovery, sure, but in terms of like pure hypertrophy, they're not as good in general.
I mean, the rule of thumb that I've heard from Joe Rogan and Huberman is that you're supposed to do the cold plunge first, and then you do the workout, not doing the cold plunge after the workout. I don't understand
Yeah,
the
I think
science
that
behind
makes
it.
sense.
Yeah, but like that's what I've been told. So like starting your day with one is perfect, and then heading to the gym.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's something to do with like the muscle inflammation or something like that, about how it's like good for muscle growth or something of that sort.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never done cold plunge myself. I would certainly love to. I've only like really been able to do it as like a cold shower, and
Hmm.
I have never ever felt like that in my life, like that good in my life. And it made me slightly concerned because I immediately, as soon as I got out and I started feeling the effects, I was like, I gotta tell my friends. So then I became that annoying fuck that fucking harasses his friends. Tell them, guys, you gotta take a cold shower. You gotta do it. It's so good. And they're like, dude, shut the fuck up, you fucking idiot. Why would anyone ever force themselves to do that? And until you do it, you don't know. And I'll be honest, haven't done it since. I should probably make it a routine because I've heard nothing but good things about it.
No, I used to do it when it was like hotter outside. Now it's too cold to do a cold shower. But back when it was like peak summer, they used to be the best thing. I'd like wake up, go work out, and after the workout, I'd have like a hot or a warm shower and just end it with like 30 seconds of cold. And that would be like perfect for me.
Oh yeah, there's nothing like it. It forces you to like just take all these deep breaths. Your brain becomes so much more oxygenated. You feel like kind of high for a second. It's
Mhm.
yeah. There's nothing like it. But I will say for any listeners, don't fuck around with that kind of stuff because I do know that some people that try what's known as the Wim Hof method. Have you heard of this guy?
Oh yeah, he's insane. Like that, the stuff that he does is crazy.
He's natty. He's absolutely nasty with it. I don't understand how he's able to accomplish his feats. But he has this method for those who don't know of breathing, where you essentially uh, super saturate your body with oxygen, and from what he's described, it allows you to kind of tap into a state where you can. It sounds woo woo, but I mean, look, the guy went on top of Everest in fucking shorts, so I believe him. When he says all this
Yeah,
stuff, when he says that you can tap into your reptilian brain and control it when you're doing all these breathing techniques. Like, look at him. He's just sitting in shorts.
yeah, that's insane. I could never. Like I'm not a big fan of the cold. I like to say I thrive in the heat, but I like objectively just suffer when it's cold.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan either. And bro, I'm Russian, so like that, living in Canada, so like everything,
Right.
all the stereotypes working against me. But yeah, this guy's nuts. This guy's actually insane. But yeah, anyone that's trying these methods, don't do it haphazardly. Do your reading because some people have, like I remember this one incident. I think it's somewhere in Southeast Asia. This guy was trying the Wim Hof method. I don't know if it was a sauna or just a pool, but he ended up passing out because your body just gets to a point where it can't take it anymore.
Mhm.
And the guy just straight up drowned. So, be careful with this stuff. Don't just start like breathing in deeply in the hot shower. Don't conk your head.
Yeah. Uh, it's crazy that there's people like this in the world.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But there was one record that he did where he swam under, I think it was like a foot of ice or something. He had to swim in between uh swim under these cutouts that they made of the ice. I think this is it actually.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude, I remember seeing this when I was like a kid, but I did not know that it was him.
yeah, so he did this world record, and I think when he was on the Joe Rogan show, he said that I think like halfway through this, his corneas froze. So like he
Oh, that's
like
damn.
literally couldn't see anything, like nothing, and he missed the hole. Yeah,
Oh, that's terrifying. Oh my God.
yeah. Under all that, I mean,
Yeah,
they
I've
had
I've seen like videos of like fitness influencers like visiting his camp or whatever to test it out, but this is insane.
yeah, he's on another level. Still kicking, by the way, still doing his thing.
Oh yeah? Damn.
Oh yeah, I just saw him yesterday. He was doing he did a post with some like yeah, here it is. Yeah, he did a post with like some strongman
Oh,
from
Eddie Hall. Dude,
yeah,
Eddie Hall is a beast. Oh my God.
yeah.
You know, this guy was like the first guy to lift like I think it was like 500 kilos in a deadlift. Have you seen that video? It's absolutely nuts.
Pull it
Like
up.
his the Eddie Hall deadlift video. The color of like his corneas like change mid lift to like light blue because of how intensely he was pushing.
Is it this one?
And yeah, there's a bit of blood too, so I don't know if that's like okay on the
Oh, that's
stream,
fine. Yeah,
but
that's fine.
yeah, crazy. Like, this is just insane. Like when you get a chance, you gotta like see, like hear him talk about how he prepared for this. It's absolutely like this guy's a beast, genuinely.
shit. Oh yeah, I see
There's
nosebleed. Yeah.
there's angles where you see like the color of his eyes change mid lift, and when he like recounts his experience, he like tells us that he doesn't remember anything after he started lifting it up. So all he remembers is starting to push, and then his like consciousness like returns when he's at the top of the lift. And the preparation for this is insane. He like imagined that he was like lifting a car off of his dying children or something like that to help him achieve like the fight or flight response. Crazy stuff.
Probably pure pleasure right there.
Oh my god.
If he hadn't have, well, probably blacked out.
Yeah,
Very different
absolutely insane.
to me. But look at the pleasure on the faces of all these people.
The referee saying down, put it down.
And he
It's
held
a
it
good
for a
lift,
second.
but no, enjoying the moment.
Oh my
Just wouldn't let
god.
it go
What
until
the
he was
fuck?
satisfied, until he'd really enjoyed it. History.
Apparently this like overloaded his nervous system to like such a degree that he forgot how to drive or was unable to drive for like a couple of months. He like struggled to walk for a bit. Just absolutely crazy stuff.
Oh my god. Holy shit, this guy. Insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is okay. That is so beyond me. I mean, look, this guy's fucking built like a unit. What the fuck?
Dude, he like posted a picture on Instagram a couple of weeks ago of him like being at like 20% body fat. And keep in mind that 20% is quite a bit.
Yeah,
But
that's quite high.
even with that, his abs were just like so visible for no reason. Like dude has like a physique of somebody with like 13% body fat when he's at like 20% body fat. Insane stuff.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, this is what the villagers would see when the Vikings came. Fuck, man. Wow. Yeah, these guys are massive.
Yeah, the stuff they do
Highland
at
Games.
Strongman is crazy.
Wow. Insane. Insane. Yeah, this guy will max out everything at Planet Fitness and he'll ask for more.
Easily. He'll start squatting the squat rack itself, you know.
Now you see the funny thing is though, like these guys are like super strong and have more dedication than, I mean, Jesus Christ, more than like 90% of people. But I highly doubt he can use a Q-tip to clean his ear. You know, like, you know, there's a trade-off there in terms of like mobility and all that. I remember Theo Vaughn he was on Joe Rogan podcast. He was telling Joe how he was taking so many steroids at one point that like he actually couldn't use Q-tips. Like he could, like the bicep was just getting in the way. He couldn't move his arm.
That's crazy. I've heard of people not being able to like scratch their back because of how wide their back is because of the steroids, but damn.
That's insane. Do you think he's natty?
Eddie Hall?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I'm tempted to say yes, because like he doesn't have like he's like a big buff guy, but not like steroid buff, right?
Mhm.
Like if you look up like Christopher Bumstead, who's the Mr. Olympia dude who like won like 7-8 times in a row or whatever. This guy's
Whoa.
on steroids, you know.
Yeah, why did his abs have like mini abs? What the fuck is that little bump there?
Yeah. Dude, his story is hella inspiring, by the way. He's Canadian, and I think he grew up in like Ottawa or something. And he ended up like he's won the Mr. Olympia title, I think. I don't know how many times in a row, actually.
Holy shit, I'm the same age as him.
Oh damn.
Okay. Now I feel worse about myself. No, that's inspiring, man. That's crazy. At 29 to be looking like this?
Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, he has been blasting a ton of gear to get to this point. But yeah.
That takes dedication. Are you serious? Yeah. No, I don't even fault him for that. By all means, bro. Taking steroids, you still got to do the lifts. You got to keep a regimen. You got to make sure it doesn't fuck up your body permanently.
Yeah, yeah, facts. He has this like YouTube channel where he talks about his like mentality heading into all this, and it's genuinely very inspiring.
Wow. I don't understand the fascination with these guys tanning themselves. I don't get that. Is it because it helps like the muscle definition come through better versus like having lighter skin? Is that why they do it?
I think so. Yeah, I think it just helps it look better on stage.
That guy's vascular. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's insane. You want to know something crazy? So he has this company called Raw Nutrition,
Mhm.
and at a point a couple of months ago, I have a fitness account on Instagram where I like very occasionally post stuff, and I got an ad for his company Raw Nutrition to become like an ambassador. So
Okay.
I was like, cool, I'll just apply. Worst case, I'll get rejected. Nothing really changes.
Mhm.
But then I got accepted as like an ambassador for Raw Nutrition, which was crazy because I had like less than 100 followers at that time.
Okay.
So I ended up getting one of those like discount codes and everything. Hella cool experience. It didn't really lead to anything because I rarely post, and it's like a side quest for me. But yeah, just hella cool in general. I can like say I'm a brand ambassador for Seabomb's company, which is pretty cool.
That's interesting. So like, do you still have the partnership with them?
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't checked in like months at this point, so I'm hesitant to say yes. But yeah.
Okay. Are their supplements any good? Do you actually use them?
Also, no, I've never used their supplements before.
That's
I'm
funny.
not a very good brand ambassador for this, but yeah, just I just applied because like the aura of Seabum himself is too much.
Oh, why not? Yeah, you never know where it could lead. There's no cost for you. There's they just give you the benefit. Why not? Yeah, by all means.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, usually for like supplementation, I am very basic. I don't like to do pre-workout. Just like loading up on caffeine. Not a fan. Not for me.
Hmm.
Creatine, glutamine, and taurine, and then a bunch of like vitamins and whatnot. What about yourself? What do you run a stack at all, or?
Not really. I mean, I have pre-workout every time I work out because I like caffeine, and just pre-workout helps me get a good workout in all the time.
Mhm.
But outside of that, I don't really take creatine on the side. Whatever creatine I do ingest comes in through my pre-workout itself. Um, I have multivitamins that I take, like the Centrum multivitamins thing.
Mhm.
I occasionally take ashwagandha, but that's pretty much about it. Yeah, I have some electrolytes I drink every time I run. That's pretty much my stack. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, good stuff. I don't know how you came
Yeah.
about it, but like when I first started researching, it just a lot of the stuff was so overwhelming because there's just the studies say this, others say that.
Hmm.
It was so difficult to find like my own actual stack until I discovered Huberman, and then after that it was easy peasy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Have you ever tried the athletic greens stuff that he always talks about in his podcast?
I was using there was one that Popeye Supplement sells that is from a company based in Canada. Let me just see if I can pull it up. They have a version of this stuff, and I have tried products similar to it, not the actual AG1. But for me personally, it's one of those things where I would feel much more comfortable. Yeah, Veggie Greens, this is the one.
Oh, I see.
I would feel a lot more comfortable actually like taking this in my diet. I understand that there's like all these micronutrients and whatnot in AG1, and they have all these benefits. For me, it's just one of those supplements I'd rather get through my food.
That's fair. That's fair. I feel like people feel the same when it comes to like protein.
Hmm.
Like a lot of people prefer to eat like a lot more eggs, a lot more meat than just have a scoop away. But yeah, I can definitely see the argument for and against things like this.
Have you tried AG1? Does it like have you used it at all?
Not really. I think I just found like the cost of it just to not be worth the value that I assumed I would get out of it.
Yeah, that's the other thing I learned about supplementation when I started buying all of these. I was like, man, I need to set aside a budget for this shit because, even if you buy in bulk, it's still pretty expensive. Like, $60 for this. How many portions is that? What do they even say? It's usually 8.5 grams. So that's what, if my math is correct, that's enough for a month, I think. Or just no, hold on.
That's
6, 10, 76, 2 months. Roughly 2 months. 1.5, we'll say.
Are you assuming like 1 scoop per serving, or is like the recommended amount like 2 scoops?
I assume that it was just once. Yeah, if we assume 1 scoop per serving, then
okay.
Yeah, that's usually what I did anyways. Yeah, typically like when I buy like a thing of creatine, like I really like Allmax. I find they're very clean with their ingredients. It like no additives, no bullshit. Like I'll add sugar to my water if I want to, or I'll add honey or lemon or whatever. I don't want it to be flavored. But yeah, it's like 5 grams a kilo.
That's actually really well priced for creatine as well.
Oh yeah.
For the amount you're getting, pretty good.
Oh yeah, I'm budget maxing when it comes to my supplements. Like I'll buy vitamins in bulk. Like, no, I don't fuck around with that. There's really weird ones that you can get that'll cost you an arm and a leg, but I'm not that in tune with like, getting that extra edge on my fitness that I would be willing to invest in that.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can get like really granular. I mean, like some people, at least like in the States, like in America, with the way that Joe Rogan is talking about it, that like you could rent nurses to do like a vitamin C drip for you, which is fucking wild. I don't even think we could do that here in Canada.
Yeah. Oh, talking about all of this, did you see that tweet by that Brian Johnson guy, the guy who's like doing all that science stuff to be 18 again?
Oh, where he measured his son's nighttime erections?
Yeah. All that weird stuff.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's like beefing with like Andrew Huberman over like some leg press video he put up.
No, they made up.
Absolutely crazy.
They made up. They made up since. They had a conversation they called. In this video he talks about it, but yeah, yesterday they were kind of beefing. I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's like a third of a rep. So Huberman isn't wrong here, but
yeah, unless he's like going for like a very, very specific exercise, like he doesn't want to activate certain muscles in it. I could see the argument being made. I mean, I don't know what he was trying to do here. Maybe it's part of his protocol that he can't like, be like rep maxing or like going to failure. Maybe that's just not, what he wants to do for his longevity thing. But some of are there any memes? Anybody drop any? Okay, well. No, there was where's his when you measure the sun's nighttime erection, some of the here we go. That guy.
In the name of science.
No, somebody had made one. There's like a dad busting into his kid's room. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. But yes, that is fucking weird, man. Like I understand this longevity shit, but that's weird.
I mean, isn't this all like working with the assumption that his 18-year-old son is like the ideal 18-year-old as well?
That too, but I mean, I don't know how much health data his son discloses as compared to his dad. And from what I can tell, they've actually like cycled blood between each other. So like where the son donated to Brian and Brian donated to his dad, they had like a thing where they did that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Or maybe it was plasma. I don't remember which is which. Yeah. What do you make of Brian Johnson, of what he's trying to do?
I feel like I don't really know. Like, I don't keep up with him as much as I'd like to, and it's cool from like a science-ish perspective to see him try out all these things. But at the same time, I don't really see the benefit in all this, right? Like, realistically, how much has he like extended his lifespan by doing all this? A couple of years, maybe, right? But like relative to like 80 years, what's another 1 or 2 years, if that makes sense?
Yeah, and it also makes me think like what when somebody does something this publicly and with this much passion, there's something about their character um, that makes them want to do that. So, like, let's say the stereotypical story of like a UFC fighter or something. Maybe they got picked on, maybe they were abused by their parents or what have you, but they just felt insecure. So then they got really good at beating people up, which gave them a sense of security. And then some of these people end up being so cracked that they're making millions doing all these fights. Um, my question is like, what is it that drives this guy? Like, we know what he says to us, we know like the message that he sends, but I'm more curious
Hmm.
about like, is there like, did he have an experience in his childhood that kind of forged him in this way? Because I don't think Brian Johnson was always like, it's not as if he turned like 26 and he's like, all right, my entire focus from now on is going to be doing this don't die shit. Like, this is fairly recent from my understanding, this whole movement that he's kind of popped up. It's really only started in the last couple of years, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm curious to see like what is it about his character and his experiences that makes him want to do that.
I'm interested in knowing, like, I'm sure that initially it was like a genuine thing he wanted to see, but I want to know if at any point it started being like a media thing, if that makes sense. Like, how much did like the fact that it blew up, how much did that influence everything else that he's been doing since then?
Yeah, and there's like some weird I don't know the validity of this, so I'm not making any claims. I'd encourage everyone to do their own research on this, but there were some claims that he divorced his wife when she had cancer, which I don't know if it's true, but there was some weird drama around that. So I don't know. The guy just strikes me as if like he just popped up out of nowhere, and now there's all this hype. Um, and it, like he is doing a lot of good. Like there are these great communities that people can join that do weekly events. They have discords. They do events in Toronto where like they'll go for a walk or a hike, and some people use it as networking. Other people just to meet like-minded people that are in the same kind of community. And then they'll do like a cold plunge after, or they'll go for a run, or what have you. But they do something that is part of that whole philosophy.
That's interesting. I wonder if like the stuff that he's done in his community has like actively impacted people in a good way, like, or like to what extent as well.
Oh, I bet.
Like,
Yeah.
are people like feeling genuinely healthier, younger through all these things, or is it just like a placebo effect because of the association with Brian? Oh,
But if the placebo effect still like impacts your biology, then it might be fake, but it still made your body react in a way as if it was real. Like, isn't that what the placebo effect essentially is? Like when they do all these experiments and measurements, don't they actually find that the body did what the person thought the pill would do?
I guess, or does it just have to do with like their perception of it? Like there may be no actual change in the body itself, but they just perceive it to be the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole dude is a question mark. I mean, look, hats off to
Yeah.
him. Best of luck to him. If he actually makes some breakthroughs, if he like is able to design some protocols that people can actually use and they're not like too unattainable. Like I'm not wearing this fucking mask, bro. I'm not I'm not doing that. My face is gonna
That's
get
fair.
wrinkly. I don't give a shit. I'm not wearing that silly goofy ass shit. Like no. No. Can you
Right,
imagine
right.
walking around the house and your girl sees you like that? No. No.
Would you ever like, maybe not the mask, but would you ever get like a a really detailed fitness tracker, like a Whoop band or something like that.
I would. I have no issues with that. I would love. I've wanted to get an Apple Watch for a while, um, because I think that it's good to have that kind of feedback. I wouldn't be like very granular with it. I don't think I would like try to plot out graphs and see my performance over like months and months and months. But I'd like to
Mhm.
have some kind of diagnostic tool that could just tell me like, I don't know, just general things, what my resting heart rate is, or my blood pressure, and seeing like those trends over time. That would be interesting to me. Like I've tried doing tracking with I mean this was years ago. The
Mhm.
Samsung Galaxy S5 usually actually used to have a sensor in its camera that could also
Oh, I
track
remember that. Yeah,
could also track your blood pressure and your heartbeat, which is really
and
fucking
blood
weird.
oxygen as well. Yeah.
Yeah, blood oxygen as well. And I liked their fitness app when I had this phone, because it actually like it had all these categories for all these different exercises, and you could put in your weight, your age. Um, Obviously, it would also like track your sleep in the same way that like iPhones are now able to. And like I like that tool. It's just all the constant updating of like every time I'd have to eat something, I would like put it in there, or anytime like I drank a glass of water, I had to update the phone. I didn't like having to constantly interact with my phone in that way, just because then I'm like, oh, I see a notification. Oh, I got a text. I don't want that. I don't want any kind of distractions like that, especially when I'm working out. That is the last thing I want.
I
So
completely
yeah.
get that. That's my issue with like all the workout tracking apps that I mentioned previously. Like when I'm in the middle of a workout, I don't want to focus on like what's going on in the rest of the world, you know.
Hmm.
Like I would, for me in like an ideal world, I should be able to like just speak into my phone what I'm doing, what weight, how many reps, and then put it aside and just have it manage all of that by itself. Apps like Strava or like Strong or Heavy, when you track or log all these workouts, you have to open it up mid workout, find the right exercise, manually put in the weight, all
Hmm.
that stuff,
Hmm.
and it's too much of a distraction and a break from what I'm actually doing that it puts me out of the zone.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I feel the same way. So yeah, that's why like if I had a diagnostic, like look, I if in the future we had like a tool where let's say you put like a strap underneath your shirt to wrap around your chest or like closer to where your heart is. If I had to like I don't know, put like some sticky things on like my skin as like wireless sensors, I wouldn't mind doing stuff like that. So long as like it just the data and everything that feeds into the phone, I don't have to interact with it. I don't have to tell it what exercise I'm doing, how many reps I did, how for how long, and yeah, it's just doing that constant back and forth. I'm not a fan of that. Um,
I get that.
yeah.
Yeah, you know how I mentioned before that I wanted to like build my own fitness app? This was
Hmm.
sort of what inspired it. Like, because I want to have this thing where I can just speak in what I'm doing in my workout and have it just create out and organize that data by itself.
Yeah, that's the other thing about like the fitness world is that there's like endless resources where people could do this. I mean, if I go on the iOS app store right now and I look up fitness, it's gonna give me like a billion apps. Um, Wait, yeah, this is just the top charts. No, I don't. No, it's not gonna show me fitness. Um, but there's not really one single place that I could go to kind of like get I don't know the information that's most applicable to me. So, like for example, I don't know if you've heard of them, but I use this site called Derby, just like simple workout cards. So they have a lot of different programs and workouts that people can choose from. You can filter them based on everything from if you want to target the full body, upper body, lower body, what type of workout, the difficulty of it, what kind of equipment you have at home. And it's really useful for people that are like just starting. So like if I have no equipment,
Mhm.
I want to do a full body, let's say stretch. It'll give me all these different cards of all these full body stretches that you can do. Um, and this is really useful, but I wouldn't like to envision a future app where you're able to just give it some basic info, like I am a 46-year-old man living in, such and such. This is my BMI, height, weight, whatever. My aim is to work out for longevity, let's say, right? Like you have a second kid on the way, you want to be able to play with them. And then it would give you like a full week's protocol, and you just repeat that week in, week out. Your workouts, like how much protein you're supposed to take in, like all this stuff. There's not really anything that can kind of do that right now. I could ask like, Perplexity or ChatGPT, give you some ideas, but there's no app that can really like, tailor fit something to me so that I don't have to pay a personal trainer, hundreds of dollars or whatever.
Yeah, like low-key, I kind of want to build that, but the issue with that is when you're trying to build something to replace a personal trainer, like there's some sort of like certifications that go into becoming a personal trainer, and I'm not sure how you'd like replicate that for an app that uses like LLMs to generate this stuff. Like, what happens in like the worst case scenario where it gives you an output that's actually detrimental for you rather than beneficial?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's hard to say. Especially if you're talking about adding that personal trainer aspect to it of like, here's some feedback based on what you were doing. I mean, one way that you could, and this is just an idea, one way that you can mitigate that is make sure that you could really only, at least at the beginning, until the LLMs like get really fucking good, to make sure that the hallucinations don't get in the way, you could simply sequester the personal trainer aspect of the app to the video format, because there you have like actual like black and white, or at least like clear to understand information for the computer, or sorry, for your LLM rather, to be able to break down and actually tell you like, hey, switch your hand placement, switch your leg placement, switch this, switch that. You're putting too much weight here. You're not putting too much emphasis here. You're rising too quickly, or what have you. Like there's actual like hard coded, data in the video that it can analyze.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, there are endless like resources with Huberman. I love his whole platform that he's built. A lot of his protocols have made really, really big impact on my life. Have you interacted with many of his stuff?
I think I've listened to like some of his podcasts on like productivity. Like I remember one where he said you got to wake up in the morning and get like sunlight directly into your eyes or whatever. And that like primes you up for the rest of the day. Like I found that to be really helpful when I was able to wake up early enough to try it out.
Mm-hmm. No, that certainly helps. I have a basement apartment, so sunlight is a rare commodity for me. But his protocol there, I'm in agreement with you. It really helped me a lot. But just to pivot a little, he also created this foundational fitness protocol, which I recommend everyone check out if you're looking for a place to start. Very basic, just breaks it down 7 days, starting with Sunday with an endurance workout, and he hits every single, portion. So training with legs, torso and neck resistance, heat and cold exposure if you have access to it, more leg resistance, arms, necks, and calves, and whatnot. I like that it's very well rounded, this approach that he's built.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that he has like a dedicated leg day, because I remember reading about this like a while back about how there's some like correlation between like the size of the quad muscle and how long you live. I think there's some like research about this that came out that just looked at the correlation between these things, about how like the people who are older and healthier tended to have more muscle in their quad relative to the amount of fat or something like that.
Interesting. Can't say I've heard anything like that. Let's see if Perplexity can help. Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I think it was the first source that it cites. That was the one. Oh, sorry, number two in the list. Probably one of those that I saw a while back.
I mean, it makes sense. Like if you're on your legs all the time, and as you get older, falls become a lot more dangerous. And if you're able to catch yourself
Hmm.
before one, that could mean the difference between having to go to the hospital and lay in a coma and just, walking about your day as if nothing happened.
Yeah, 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 dude. There's this one guy in my building gym who's like old, but I saw him working out yesterday, and dude was just curling like 35 pounds, like it was nothing, and it
Let's
was
go.
really like inspiring. It was actually crazy. Dude has like a decent amount of muscle for his age, and even then, just like on the grind every day.
Wow. Hats off to that guy. That's I mean, look, getting yourself to the gym as a teenager, or even in your 20s, is hard enough because of how lazy we are, or because there is an endless capacity for laziness. Anyways,
Hmm.
but yeah, for a guy like him, man, that's awesome. Hats off to him.
Yeah, facts. Hella inspiring.
That's interesting about the leg muscles, though. I never really considered it.
Yeah, it's like making me reevaluate like how I would like to approach fitness as I get older. Like right now, I'm purely focused on like muscle growth, but I can imagine in like the next like 10 years, it would it would evolve into like something completely different.
Oh yeah, no, I myself am starting to think more about doing more like longevity based exercises, or trying to focus my routine around just really like building things so that I can kind of preemptively handle going into 30s and 40s. And I'm not saying that as if I'm like fucking my body's breaking down or anything, but I just like certain things I've noticed, like my knees have been clicking for years now. I think that's because I longboard and skateboarded a lot as a kid, and that like
Hmm.
really fucks with your cartilage um, in between those joints. So I've heard that apparently walking backwards can help a lot. And there's a guy in my neighborhood, this weird this weird fucking guy. He doesn't speak English. Uh, Tall motherfucker too, like 6'3" something.
But
Um,
damn.
with really long white hair, like past his shoulders, like halfway down his back. And he walks backwards in my neighborhood. And one time I saw him do that, I was like, "Oh, hey man, that's really good for your knees." And he just keeps walking as if like he didn't hear me. And I was like, "What the? This guy's fucking weird." I mean, good for him. Like by all means, get at it. I see him out there just about every day. But apparently that's really good for you too. And I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, I think things like running as well aren't good for your knees and joints in the long run. But yeah, I think when it comes to like cardio, biking is probably the thing that's easiest on your joints.
Hmm.
If you're trying to do like high intensity cardio, that is.
Yeah, rowing is good too. Rowing will tap into parts of your brain that you never thought existed, because like 2 minutes in you realize, "Oh, this is actually hard. I did not realize this would actually be difficult." Cuz it forces you to use your entire body, at least if you're doing it right. Um my form is not perfect, but you're supposed to there's a motion where you obviously pull with your arms, and then
Mhm.
you compress with your legs and you press out. So everything is getting worked, and your core as well. You're not trying to work that like as much, at least from what I've been told. You don't want to be just flailing around everywhere. Um, but yeah, rowing will make you tap into those explorer parts of your brain from your ancestors back in the 1200s. Like that shit will have you staring straight like a military man in no time.
Yeah, I've tried the rowing machines at like a couple of gyms here and there, and it's deceptive, Like I feel like I can speed by hella quick, but then the moment I start, that's when I get like a major reality check, and I'm like, shit, I'm not as fit as I would have hoped I would be.
Oh yeah, I hate cardio with a passion. So I have to force myself to do it, and I fucking hate running. So cycling and rowing are like really my only two that I can do that I still enjoy. And rowing is I've done 30-minute sessions on the row machine before,
Oh
and
damn.
by the time that I get off, like my legs are jelly, I can't do shit. And look, I'm not even saying that as a brag. I am out of shape. I have not been to the gym in a while. But rowing is, it's one of those things I love doing because your whole body is in the motion, and especially if you
Mhm.
have like some solid EDM tracks, you just get lost in the process. The worst thing is like if your machine has one of those layouts that has like the screen that'll let you know like how well you're doing and whatnot. Um, that I find like a little bit distracting because I get competitive with myself. And I'm like, no, I ain't no
Right.
bitch. I can keep this BPM. I ain't no bitch. And then my body starts giving out. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll slow down. I'll slow down.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Like, I absolutely hate cardio, but I also know that it's like good for me to get a foundation built when I'm like in my early 20s.
Hmm.
So I've been like over the past like couple of months, I've been forcing myself to slowly do more and more cardio. Last year I used to like do this thing on Twitter where I would post my monthly goals at the start of each month. And then for the longest time, like my monthly goal was to just run 5 miles in total during the month. So like, maybe like a mile a week at the end of a workout. And low key, it genuinely like started changing my life, to put it like that. Like I started having more energy throughout the day in general, and it just felt good to like get it done with. Like when you force yourself to do things that are hard, like physically, I feel like there's a spillover effect in everything else that you do.
Oh, 100%. 100%. If you haven't seen the episode, you must know David Goggins, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who's
Yeah,
gonna lift the boats?
exactly. Yeah, that's right. But he did an episode with Huberman. Very,
Oh, interesting.
very informative. I highly recommend for anyone that um is not where they want to be in life or is feeling insecure about certain aspects of themselves, go watch this. It's not going to fix you. You have to put in the work, but this is as good a place as any to start. I've seen this episode countless times. It's incredible. But the reason I bring it up is because in this episode, Huberman talks about the part of the brain where when you force yourself to do things that are hard, it actually like grows. And
Mhm.
people that don't force themselves to go about those things, that part of their brain actually shrinks. So there's like an actual like a physiological reaction that your body has to forcing yourself to do things that you hate. That, like you said, will have that spillover effect on everything else.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's very interesting. I feel like the same could be said for like other aspects too outside of like fitness, like putting yourself in. So as an example, like I'm like as somebody in like computer science and all that stuff, I find that I tend to like have the greatest like rate of change in like my skills and abilities professionally, I guess, when I put myself in situations where that I'm extremely like uncomfortable in, but
Mm-hmm.
where I'm either forced to grow, or if I don't, I kind of fail. And that's when I have like the greatest rate of change in my abilities.
When's the last time you did something like that?
Like a couple of weeks ago, I don't know.
What was it?
But like
Is there a story to it?
uh I don't really know if there's a story. I just find myself like saying yes to like doing things or working on projects where I'm forced to do things that or work with like technologies that I haven't really worked with before. And then because there's like certain stakes involved, I sort of have to learn it and grow. Like last weekend, I was at a hackathon, and
Mhm.
that was like my first time like properly working with LangChain. But our team had decided to like build this thing that used like AI agents to like do whatever, and we ended up choosing to use LangChain. And at that point, I guess I kind of had to like learn how to use it properly, or else we would not have had like a successful hackathon project, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. I get it. I full disclosure, I have no experience with coding. I don't think I've ever written a single line of code in my life. I'm adjacent to this community, and I understand the basics, but I mean, yeah, picking up something like that, I would imagine is extremely daunting. I mean, bro, the amount of times that I've tried to like do those Code Academy tutorials and just write basic HTML or CSS, you know, even though I understand only a fraction of all that, that's really daunting, especially at a hackathon when you got to pump something out within like 24, 48 hours and people are, you know, there of their own volition. So you don't want to be a dick and like not only hold yourself back, but everyone else. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned Code Academy. Like that was my shit growing up, you know. Like anytime I wanted to learn a new language, a new framework, I'd spend a couple of hours, a couple of days like going through the Code Academy tutorial, and then I'd jump to YouTube to start doing like tutorials and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, highly recommend if anyone's interested in like starting to code and doesn't know like exactly where to begin. Try and log in so I can at least show what the layout looks like.
I think you can see the catalogs without logging in as well.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
just didn't want to dox myself, but I got it up.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah, they have, I mean, my God, tutorials for anything and everything. Look, it's so stupid that anyone, literally anyone could do this. Okay, it's so simple. It's insane. They also have a forum where people can like pose questions and ask for help. And there's plenty of people that are more than glad to help. If I've learned anything, is like the dev community. There is no end to the amount of people that are willing to like look into code or help with projects just out in the open, because there's always someone else out there on the other side of the world that's like, man, I'm having the same problem, I don't know what the fuck to do.
There's a website really similar to this as well. I think it's called roadmap.sh. That's also very like informative when it comes to helping people get up to speed with certain like technologies and frameworks. So if you click like any one of these, for example, it genuinely just gives you like a proper roadmap that you can follow, start to end, of like what
Oh
you
my
need to know
God.
to start and get proficient in something.
Oh, this is perfect. This is exactly what I needed, because I have a couple of projects in mind that I'd like to work on. I'm gonna have Claude write most of the code if I'm being fully honest. But there are certain things I am gonna have to learn, regardless of just systems architecture and whatnot. But this is really good. I'm definitely gonna save this as a resource. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I found it to be really helpful when I'm like getting up to speed with certain things as well.
Yeah, and it looks like they also have was it for? Oh, I guess it must have been I misclicked. In any case, yeah, hackathons and whatnot. How do you like the scene in Toronto? Because there's a lot of buzz around Internet Bin and a couple people in that community that are really like building some really interesting things, like the all the different hackathons that they're doing. Have you been to any of their events?
Yeah. So I know like I've interacted with like Vin and those guys a couple of times before. Great people. Like they're doing a lot for the community. Even like outside of the events they host, there's a lot of hackathons that take place yearly. There's the one that happens in like U of T called U of T Hacks. There's the one in Waterloo called Hack the North. Another one called Hack the Six that happens in Toronto over the summer. So like these ones are like the annual ones that happen pretty much every year. And then Vin and his group like sort of organized another hackathon a while back. It's called a New Build, which was pretty cool. It was
Oh,
a sick
bro,
experience.
did you go to that?
Yeah, I was part of the hackathon. Pretty cool.
That, I mean, I saw like people were like showing up in black tie, like fully like decked out. Like some of the people were legit, just, I mean, dressed to the nines.
Oh yeah. They had this like I don't know if it was like a launch event or what it was, but this like full black tie event where everybody dressed up formally for the start of the hackathon. I think that was when they did like the team building stuff. So the way that they approached it was super different. You had team captains and then anonymized cards that represented like different players or different hackers in the hackathon. and the team captains would come up and then compete with other team captains to get to pick the card first.
Oh yeah. They also had agents that people could pick from as well for their team.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Trying to
So
pull it up.
it was a crazy experience.
Oh yeah, these cards right here, right?
Oh yeah, so these cards are different things. So whoever got into the hackathon was like personally given one of these cards by like either Vin or Tommy or somebody else. And then at the actual like launch event, they had other cards that were like Pokemon cards, but for the people who would be hacking. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
That one.
Yeah.
And then these cards were anonymized, so you didn't know who you were getting, but you had an idea of the skill of the person, like what technologies and expertise they brought, and you would use that to form your team for the hackathon.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, just look at this. Like, you would think this was like a VC meeting, right? This isn't just a bunch of crack devs showing up all in one room. But no, they made a whole thing of it, which I love the theatrics. I love that they really put a lot of effort into that. I mean, everything from the hype leading up to the event to the actual event itself, all the marketing around it. It was great. It was really great to see that happen.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, like they've really learned how to like rally the community around any like events that they do, which is just like hella sick, you know.
Oh yeah, no, it's nothing short of incredible. Also, I just want to say, for anyone that is not a developer but is just like interested in learning about this kind of stuff, like this this is not an unattainable event. Like this is not something that like you have to be uh, like fucking crack dev to actually like enjoy or understand. There were some people that like shot a music video for this competition.
Yeah, it was like a an SF diss or whatever.
Yeah, it was called "Don't Drain," which I mean, I love that they were able to find some humor in it because it is crazy from what I've heard. A lot of, I mean, if not most people that graduate from Waterloo, they'll just head south of the border because they got better pay down there.
And less taxes and everything too. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. They were filming the video there.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's such a wild experience.
Yeah, for a single weekend, people just got together in this little office here and just built all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah, that's the Cohere office. Have you ever been there before?
No, I'll be honest. Most of the events that I've like been to is like at the 535 Queen Studio. Just mostly like lectures and whatnot. Like I attended new demos too, just as a spectator, which was also very wild. I that event in itself, like it really, I think it helped change the trajectory of some of the projects that I'm working on myself. So I'm endlessly grateful that I was able to do that. But no, I've never been to the Cohere offices. I'm guessing you're a frequent flyer there.
I wouldn't say frequent, but like that this hackathon was hosted at the Cohere office, and it's such like a nice spot. There's something about the aesthetic of having like the wooden panels at the top and like exposed brick walls. That's just like so like exciting in a way. I don't know.
Well, yeah, so that you're not sitting in a fucking cubicle with like,
Yeah, I
like shit like that. Like, yeah, this does not scream innovation.
Yeah. But yeah, I think New Demos 2 was before I got involved in the community. I don't know if they're doing a New Demos 3. If they do, it would be very cool to like be able to go there and demo something. But yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it was a hell of an event, honestly, man. I encourage, like I said, you don't have to be a builder, you don't have to be a developer, you don't have to actually be in like the tech scene or making anything of your own. If you just want to see what the young people are doing with the tech that's available to them and all the different creative ways that they're building all this stuff with, I highly encourage everyone to like just look around your town wherever you live. There's definitely got to be some kind of meetups, whether it's Socratica or what have you. There's a lot of places that are really, really open to people of all backgrounds coming in and just making cool shit and celebrating that creative spirit.
Are you planning on going to any 535 events anytime soon?
I don't know what's on the docket, and with my current schedule, it's a little bit difficult because my main priority right now is just to keep these interviews going. I would certainly like to attend some future ones. I did go to an event where, let me see if I'm going to be able to find their page. I always forget what their tag is.
Like 535 Studio or Studio 535, one of those.
There we go.
Uh,
I don't know if they're going to have the images of this, but there was a design lecture that I went to that was hosted by. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. No, that's all classical music. I'm blanking on the name, but oh, here it is. This gentleman
oh,
right here.
okay. He's so cracked, by the way. His designs are so sick.
Yeah, I love. He has this. I think it's called the Falcon. Is that the brand?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it, but yeah, he did a really cool lecture. I want to scroll down to see if I can actually find it, but he did this lecture on design where the thesis of the lecture was we live in a world right now where a lot of the things that we look at or the products that we use, it seems like certain aspects of their design just kind of feel soulless, like there's not really a connection that we can kind of make. And his argument was that part of the reason why is because the designers of old, the people that have had to, be architects in the decades and centuries past, there was a greater ideal that they strive towards, whether it was religious or philosophical, whatever it was, their ideological motivation for making the thing came out in their actual design process. So it's kind of like how when Steve Jobs was alive and he was designing all the products and all that stuff on Apple, that whole era of Apple was very, very unique compared to what the company is now. And so when he went over this presentation, he went back into like ancient like Greek columns and Roman columns and how all these different places were built and why there was this emphasis on mathematics in their design and symmetry and all that, or like old Islamic temples and how they had all these intricate tiling patterns, and all of it was essentially encompassed by this idea that there was a point in design where people took these ideals that were higher than themselves, that were bigger than themselves, and tried to capture them in that design, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated with all this design stuff because as somebody who like knows how to code, I've like had the realization so many times that I'm just terrible at design, and I really don't know how to like get up to speed with all these things.
One guy I would encourage you to check out would be Christoph, and I'm trying to get him on the pod to come on soon. He he does these little pages for various companies, like for Google DeepMind here, or for Apple Vision, Palantir, and Perplexity. And these are all like, all done by him. I don't know to what extent. I would imagine a lot of it, or at least a portion of it, is made by AI generated images. But he has a lot of interesting, I don't know, collections and curations that he makes regarding his design work. He pumps out like a design, I think, every single day for these companies. I don't know, just has a really unique way of going about how he changes. Well, not how he changes, but how he goes about these rebrandings, essentially.
That's pretty cool. I'd be interested in seeing like what his take would be on like UI design for software, for example. Because if he's able to like guess translate the designs I see here into something that like people would interact with in software, I feel like it would blow up like in like a good way, you know.
Yeah, I don't know to what extent he focuses on software design, but yeah, no, definitely he's well worth reaching out to. This guy has like new stuff that he's pumping out every single day, so I have no doubt that whatever he ends up doing, whoever he ends up working for, like they're gonna be really lucky to have him.
For sure, yeah.
Have you heard of the Futureland app that Finn is building
Oh,
there.
yeah. I'm one of the users for it currently.
Yeah, what do you think about it?
It's really cool. It's really cool. A while back, Vin hosted a challenge on Futureland. I think it was called like the 60-day challenge. It was this fitness thing where you had like these two teams competing against each other for 60 days to see who can like log the most hours spent doing like any sort of fitness activity.
Oh, I
And
remember. Yeah.
yeah, that was really fun. You know, like at one point, me and a friend like biked from downtown all the way to like Mississauga just so we could clock in a couple of hours. And we rode around on like city bikes, and it's an interesting experience.
Yeah, to those that don't know, so Futureland is this app that's in development right now by a couple of Toronto natives. There's one that actually I think one of the designers he lives in the Netherlands. I had the pleasure of meeting him at one of these walk around events that they held in the summer. Really interesting guys, but they've captured something that some of these fitness apps miss, and that is the social aspect of it, of being able to
Mhm.
not only show your progress and to track it, but it also, like you said, it allows you to kind of pin teams against each other and see like who can do most. And obviously, the whole thing is on an honor system. Like, if you lie, nobody's really like you can't really do anything to stop that. But what's the point of even doing the challenge in the first place? But they have a really interesting platform that they're building that allows you to track. I mean, just about anything, like how much coffee you drink, water, what have you. And then it'll actually show you like over time throughout a month what the impact of you doing that behavior over and over and over again is. And the social aspect, yeah, that's awesome. I remember one time in the summer they, as part of I think the same challenge that you were on there, they had a couple of basketball matches that they played on this court, and one guy as part
Yeah,
of his like
yeah.
post, he wore these like the Meta Ray Bans glasses, and he posted some clips from that, and yeah, those look pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm currently using this app to like track my body weight and body fat percentage. I started like tracking it a couple of days ago only, but I'm planning on porting over the measurements I have from the past couple of months into the app as well. So it's going to be an interesting experience to see how it plays out within the app.
Yeah, I would certainly love to be able to use it. I have an iPhone that is like it's too old. I don't even think my
Hmm.
iOS is updating at this point. So unfortunately, I can't use the app. I tried signing up for it. I tried like paying for the membership, but then I went on the App Store and it wasn't letting me, which is a shame. But um, yeah,
Oh yeah,
they got something really cool building here, and I wish these guys all the
definitely.
best.
The community around it is, I think, what's a big driving factor as well. Like somehow they've managed to just rally the whole community around themselves and Futureland in a way that just gives them the boost they need to achieve whatever they want, which is insane. Like it's crazy that they've achieved something like this.
Yeah, and they also help popularize the Pomodoro method, um,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
this like the Pomo strike as they as they called it.
Hmm.
And for anyone that doesn't know, it's basically a method where you do 25 minutes of deep work, and then 5 minutes of, well, I mean, just whatever else that you want to fill your time with, whether it's browsing Twitter or having a snack or what have you. And it's actually a fairly good method of uh, doing long periods of deep work, because I mean, look, unless you're like some fucking like Elon Musk turbo autist, like you can't sit still and look at a textbook for hours on end. There's got to be like something that's going to distract you at some point. So this kind of helps you alleviate that, because at the end of at the back of your head, it's like, all right, 25 minutes will pass. I'll get my 5 minutes of treats or whatever it is, and it's really effective.
For sure. I think there's also something to do with like the idea that you're doing intention setting, where you're telling yourself and you're like saying out loud, cool, for the next 25 minutes, I'm going to lock in on this one task and one task only. And that really helps. Like it's like a thing that I've heard people talk about before, that intention setting helps you focus more on the task you're doing, reduces distractions, things of that sort.
Yeah, no, certainly, and it's great that they've been able to use the app to kind of leverage that and to come up with all these events. Like they also went to the I forget what it's called. It's a Toronto Reference Library. Yeah, the one at Young and Bloor there.
Oh, yeah.
and they held like one of those Pomo Strike games where they're like, all right, just show up to the library. We don't have to all sit together, but everyone can keep track of their score, and they got a leaderboard on the app and everything. They kind of pit people against one another, so now you got that extra like layer of competition on top of whatever it is that you're focusing on.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And the design of this app is also just, it's something special. There's something about it that just stands out so much, even though it's like very minimal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it seems very very accessible. Because like I've tried to use like other tracking apps before, like the one that I have, what's it called? Streaks. Yeah, it's called Streaks, and it's very basic. Like you just you have all these icons and like activities that you like essentially populate into these lists, and then every time that you do something, you essentially click that button, and then it can then show you what that streak looks like over a month. But there's not, for one, like that social aspect is missing from it, and then two, um, there's not. It doesn't really give you a good enough like feedback system in terms of like seeing your progress over time. Like it'll just pop up as like a calendar, and then it'll have like a little block for each day where you did that thing. But it doesn't tell me like, okay, well, how many hours total have I spent on this, or like what is my can I graph this out over several months of time to see what the progress is. Capabilities aren't there yet. So I think when this app launches right here, it's gonna sweep the app store like nothing else.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, no, I've met some of the most interesting people by just being around this circle right here. There was one demo that I saw. I think his name is Case. Yeah, this guy right here. He used to work for Riot, actually, which makes League of Legends, on their character design team. I think he did character design. But in any case, I met him, or at least I saw him first at new demos where he created Factorio. He created a Factorio speedrun in command line. So he imported all of the rules for the game and how it works into the command line, then essentially made it so that the program could run through the entire game as efficiently as possible and meet all the prerequisites for eventually launching into space, which is the end goal for the game. Which is really cool because he just did something just for the hell of it. Like that, obviously that project isn't like, Factorio's not going to pick it up. There's nothing really, it's kind of like a dead end in that way. But it was cool to see someone like flex their creative muscles in that way. He's like, how can I do a speed run without actually like having to do the speed run myself?
Right, right. That makes sense. Yeah. I think Case now works for Cohere, if I'm not wrong. I think I don't know the specifics, but I think he had a meeting with like the CTO Cohere, and the CTO just really wanted him on the team badly, so they just hired him. Hella sick, crazy stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hats off to him. I hope I hope they do take him because he would certainly be an asset. He was gracious enough to give me a bit of his time in the summer when it was after new demos, and I was just looking to speak to someone about an idea for a project I had, and he just said like, hey, open invitation for anyone that wants it. If you guys want to meet up at some point, grab a coffee, whatever, just shoot the shit. I can help pick your brain a little bit about the thing that you want to work on. And this one bit of advice that he gave me, it has really helped me a lot with the Whitepill project. And he basically said, like, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve in the project that you're working on, you don't need to have like a full 100% concrete understanding of the landscape and where this could go, or like what languages you need to learn, or how you build the infrastructure to actually make it real. Just as long as you get started, that's the most important thing. Because eventually, even if it's something as simple as like collecting data in Excel spreadsheets, eventually you're going to be like, okay, this is too annoying. This is like, I am frustrating myself by doing all this manually. How can I automate it, or how can I simplify it? And then when you force yourself to work from that kind of standpoint, that really, like, that allows you to kind of just take leaps and bounds with your progress. unlike anything else, because that source of frustration that you get from your tool or your workflow not being optimized enough is going to force you to think outside the box and be like, wait, how can I improve this? How can I make this happen quicker? How can I, waste less time on this so I can put more time towards, better pursuits essentially. And that's helped me a lot personally.
Right. I think that makes sense. It's like when you get started on a project, you really don't know what issues you're gonna encounter. So as you like spend more time in the space and you figure out what exactly is something that you need, that's when you really start to like figure out how to tackle it properly. Which is, I guess, the gist of what Case mentioned.
Yeah, and the important thing is that you get started. Like when I started my stream, I had no idea like how to even set up a stream. I didn't know what kind of layout
Right.
I wanted, and I looked at all these like professional streamers for inspiration, and I was like, okay, I'm not that like invested. Like that's gonna take so long. To create your own personal graphics, to
hmm
create all these custom animations. I was like, fuck that. Like I just need something simple so I can press start, and then we're off to the races. And now like every other stream that I have, I'll write down a note. I'm like, oh, I need to improve on this. I need to change the sound quality here. I need to change the bit rate there. Like you'll make adjustments. But the most important thing is to actually just start. It's gonna be shit, It's there's gonna be issues that you're gonna run into. The quality of your work is not gonna be great, but as long as you get started, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's those incremental changes you get when you're being consistent that add up over time and amount to like a massive change.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you have anything that you're working on besides the fitness tracking app, or is that your main priority at the moment?
I have a lot of things I'm working on. I don't know how much of it I can like mention out loud currently because it's all just like ideation at this point. But I do like plan to be relatively active on Twitter. It's like anytime I end up finishing something cool, I will be posting about it. So yeah, follow me if you if you want to keep up.
Yeah, it's interesting. You have quite a few projects on your page here that you've worked through. I mean, I'm not even halfway down the page and we're still going.
Oh yeah, I actually like so in preparation for this, I like looked through some like earlier podcasts that you had, and you like went on somebody's website. So I was like, shit, I need to update my website because this hasn't been updated in like 8 9 months at this point. So I got home from like a friend's place at like 12 a.m. last night, and I was like, cool, I have a couple of hours. Let me just sit down and quickly update everything. And I did, and I made the post about it then.
That's jokes. Yeah, I saw it. You were like, "Oh man, I'm not getting any sleep because I'm working on my personal website." I hadn't realized it was all in preparation for the podcast. That's funny. No, it's a good site. It looks good, man. I mean, I've seen a lot of different sites from each developer, and everybody has their own taste to it. But no, that looks great, man. Looks great. Job well done.
Thank you. I'm actually trying to make it like more minimal. Like I've looked up a couple of websites, or I found some online that are extremely like minimal that I really like. But I sort of like being able to put everything on a website and have a lot of content around it too. So I'm sort of in two minds about how to approach this sort of thing.
Well, it's designed as easy to read, and yeah, no, it's solid. I've been thinking of making my own once I actually have enough stuff to put up. Um, right now, I just use like one of those like link tree things because that's all I really
Mhm.
need. But yeah, making my own site that'd be fucking awesome. I'd love to have that at some point because besides like this the podcast, I have some other ideas for projects down the line that I'd actually like to actually build something so that I'm not just sitting here yapping all the time.
Right. Yeah, I think the next JS I think sorry, Vercel has like really good starter kits for websites. I was actually looking into using some of those for one of my projects.
So is this like kind of like what's that what's that I forget that company name that like it's really popular. You can just make like websites for your business almost instantly. I mean,
Oh,
there's a billion of
V0?
these. Uh,
Oh,
no.
like the letter V with the actual like number 0.
Oh, no, I'd never heard of them. Do they also have a good platform?
It's Versal's like a platform that helps you like convert natural language into websites.
Hmm.
So you can like ask it to design you like a website, pass in some like specifications, describe the UI a little bit, and it does the whole thing for you start to end. But yeah,
Interesting.
Versal is like this like company that basically deploys apps, primarily Next.js apps, which is like a framework for building websites.
Interesting. I'll definitely have to look into this. I hope they don't charge an
Yeah,
arm and a leg for it. Oh, it's free.
not for the hobby plan. Yeah,
Okay, that's not bad. Yeah, that would
yeah,
that would certainly help.
yeah, and they have a lot of cool like starter kits that I've used a couple of times before. Let me see if I can find where. Uh, yeah, the templates in the resources tab.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so you see that portfolio starter kit on the screen that you just scrolled by on the left at the bottom. Yep. I just used this one like a couple of months ago for a side project I worked on, and it just made everything a lot easier.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, no, I definitely have to look at this. I'm guessing like the hosting and everything you would actually have to take care of. Like they're not associated with that whatsoever.
No, Vercel does the hosting as well. Like
Oh,
it's really simple. So the only thing you'd have to like really do if you use one of these templates is to just change the actual content of the website itself, which you can do with like Cursor Claude with relative ease.
mm-hmm.
And then deploying on Vercel is super easy as well.
That is awesome. No, I'm really gonna have to take a look at this because, I mean, man, the simple website that I have now, uh, it's literally just a link tree, just a couple of links. That's it. But no, like this would definitely be uh, a lot more of a better use of my time in terms of actually displaying this stuff. Because yeah, no, that's awesome. I'd never heard of them before. I mean, I'm sure I've heard the name somewhere, like in Teapot here and there, but never really dug too deep into it.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool company. I have like a couple of people I know that work for this company. Pretty cool stuff.
That's awesome. So, in terms of your future in this kind of in where like app development coding and all that is headed, uh, do you think that you would drain as well to SF, or do you think you would still want to stay here in Canada and see what happens?
I'm definitely staying in Toronto for the next couple of years, but I don't really know what I plan to do after that. I know at some point I want to work at a startup, and ideally, if it's in Toronto or maybe Vancouver, that would be perfect for me. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not too good when it comes to thinking like too far ahead, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's almost impossible to know where you're going to be in a couple of years' time, especially with how fast AI is moving. In terms of your own experience and like stuff that you've seen in the community, where's your head at when it comes to AI being able to, well, I mean, essentially, do the work of, 100 developers within seconds, and how that's going to affect the job market and just, creative output for people.
I personally think that it's a possibility, but I doubt it's going to be what actually happens. I think it's more likely that the people who learn how to like utilize these technologies to the to its like full extent would be the ones that benefit the most. I've seen people nowadays that like I like to call them like cursor power users who use cursor and like they enter a prompt, accept and then accept whatever changes cursor outputs. But what I find with that is that if you keep on doing that, at a certain point, you sort of lose track of your own code base. You don't really know what's happening, what the infrastructure is, what code is present where. And I feel like if that's like the direction that we head towards as developers, that's probably not the best place to be. But if you're able to find a good balance in using these technologies where you have ownership and control over what you're doing, and you're using LLMs and all these things as like a support instead of like the main guiding force,
Hmm.
then you're low key in a good spot, I think.
That's basically the sentiment that I've heard from all the other devs and people that I've talked to in this space, that it's not necessarily going to kill these jobs, but it's going to shift the focus from like writing a lot of just like spending time to write a lot of this like simple code that is now just going to be, you know, written by Claude or, you know, whichever platform ends up being the best. But the person that's able to step back and look at, I mean, the architecture, the actual the structure of what you're building and where it needs to go regarding like whether it's UI design or what have you, any aspect of the project that you're working on, whoever has like a better idea of the landscape and has, well, as the meme goes, is like an ideas guy, that's gonna be the cutting edge, or like the people that are gonna have that extra advantage, because now they're gonna be able to iterate and execute at much faster rates than they have before, because now they're not getting bogged down with all the like nitty gritty slave work essentially, or grunt work, if I could say that.
Yeah, like having an understanding of the underlying like system that you're working on is a lot more beneficial than just looking at things in isolation in cases like this. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Where do you think Canada is headed with all this? Do you think we're going to be able to turn the ship around when it comes to not just enabling, but also just like celebrating this builder spirit? Because a lot of the Shopify execs have been really outspoken in the last couple of years regarding um, just how bad the, not just the business development, but also just like the brain drain has gone, to the point where we're sending the best and brightest minds to work elsewhere. Do you think that we're going to be able to, you know, change that in time?
Uh, I'm optimistic about it. I feel like with the emergence of like Cohere in the space, as well as like other companies, there's this company Wombo that was founded in Toronto, and they're split off and made like their own. Like the founders of Wombo have created like other startups now. There's something called Dippy AI, I think like Omega Labs and all that stuff. Like there's slowly and surely like more of these like I guess like builder focused companies that are emerging in Toronto. I just hope that together these companies can sort of, I guess, revolutionize the space or whatever, so that people would want to work for them instead of going to SF. You know.
Yeah, I'm of the same mind that I don't know exactly where it's gonna go, but I do remain optimistic because, I mean, with with the amount of tools that people have at their fingertips now, and the ability for people to just simply log on to social media and find crack devs or people that are just talking about all this stuff and to network with them, um, it really makes it that much easier to just find fellow people. I mean, I don't know how many uh, projects and builds have been expired by things like new demos or Socratica, but I'm really grateful that there's a lot of these spaces popping up for people to kind of gather and just share ideas and to celebrate the creator spirit. Because I think it's something that we've, I don't know, kind of not lost, but it's not as apparent in the Canadian identity as I want it to be. Like in America, I mean, it's, you go to SF, just about every street corner you're gonna bump into somebody that's cracked. I mean, this one, I don't know if you saw this interview that I did, but um, this one girl, she's only 19, and she's working on a global 3D network, sorry, 3D printer network, where people that have 3D printers sitting in their garage that are being unused can sign up to this network. And then if somebody, let's say halfway across the world, needs certain pieces that, you know, they just don't have the materials for, or what have you, they can put forward a request, and then somebody that has that printer and those materials can fulfill that request. So there's not really, you don't need a warehouse with 10 printers going on 24/7. Now you can just tap into this, and it gives you so much more access to resources than ever before.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I've seen ideas similar to this like implemented for compute for like AI applications. Like people have spare computers lying around that they're not using or utilizing all the time, like spare GPUs. And I think some dudes at Waterloo like built a system that allows other people at Waterloo to sort of connect their computers into this network and offer up spare compute so that anybody can like run or train ML applications.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard of a couple people operating in this space. There was even one that was like offering some kind of coin in exchange for hours for hours used, but I don't know if they've actually like been able to monetize it. I forget the name. Um, but yeah, they had set up a system where it was essentially similar to that. You could just simply put your computer into the system and you get some kind of rewards for it. Which I mean, it only makes sense. How many computers right now
Right.
are just out there with like insane hardware that are just being unused or underused?
I feel like that's going to be such an important thing in the future, like figuring out how to be like more effective or more efficient with like your usage of GPUs, or like the GPUs that you end up using for whatever workloads you have. I feel like that's a space that's going to grow over the next couple of years, definitely.
Yeah, and I mean it kind of has to at this point. If AI is to be democratized and be a system for the people, like I even saw, this is fucking insane. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. Um, what was that? The Chinese company that what was the name for it? That just put out a fresh model. I forget their name.
Oh, DeepSeek,
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
crazy stuff.
So this guy managed to run their model on a fucking Raspberry Pi. Did you see this?
Oh yeah, I think I saw this tweet before.
Insane. Insane.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I saw pictures of this guy with like I think like 6, 7 Mac Minis like stacked together, and he was running this on those two. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nothing short of insane. The fact that you're able to run, what kind of a model did he run? DeepSeek R1, 200 tokens per second, which I mean that's pretty damn fast.
Yeah, yeah. I think what helps in this case is that the R1 models have like different parameter sizes that they released. So you have like sizes that are like only 4 gigs, where versus others that are like 220 gigs. So that sort of like gives you quite a different range of like different R1 models you could use and run on Raspberry Pis, for example.
Yeah, that's nuts. I've wanted to get a Raspberry Pi for a while. I wanted to get one during COVID, but because of the chip shortage, like it was just taking forever to get them. But that's a hell of a useful tool too. Not just like for beginners to hack and whatnot, but now that like you can actually put an LLM on it, like you don't even have to run the model on your computer. You could just simply run it on here. Plug it into your computer when you need it, but otherwise it's totally offline hardware. Like I spoke to, who did I? Oh yeah, I think it was Luke a lot. Yeah, I was speaking to him yesterday. He's a Devon SF that is working for a gaming company. Well, kind of a gaming company, I guess, but there's essentially a platform where people can build their own games on their phone and actually get paid for it. So if you spend something like with in-game currency, if somebody spends a certain amount on your game, you get rewarded. I think with bricks is like their main currency.
I see. Okay.
Which you could then actually monetize. And he was telling me, oh, hold on, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Where were we just talking about?
The Raspberry Pis and the R1 models, like running it locally in your own
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
environment.
I had asked him. I was like, so like, what is the actual purpose of or what's the benefit of running these models offline? And he was basically like, look, one of the main things is privacy, because you're able to run these models offline if you're able to, put in like your tax records per se, or just very like sensitive files that you don't want to become training data. Because I've seen Pliny, who I don't know if you're familiar This guy red teams AI models the moment they come out, and gets them to pump out recipes for crack and LSD, essentially, like just very very bad
Okay.
stuff. Highly recommend you follow him. This guy's fucking amazing. I want to get him on the pod sometime. But Pliny was able to find that if you were to prompt an AI for certain information in a very specific way, it could actually give you information that like somebody had put in through like an attachment of a file. So you could actually even like in some of the models you could even access like information that somebody else had put into the model, which is fucking nuts. So when Luke a lot was telling me about this stuff, it really like it made me understand like, oh shit, yeah, like having an AI that you can run offline without any kind of need for servers or having to rely on open AI always being up. There's a lot of benefit from that.
Interesting. Yeah, I think the fact that you can run this on Raspberry Pis just opens up so many doors. Back when I was in high school, me and a friend like we did this thing where we built like a I think it was like a file network or whatever the term is, using a Raspberry Pi. So then whenever we were just like within the vicinity of his dorm, we would be able to access any movies we put on the Raspberry Pi over the network with like very little latency. If
Whoa.
you can, yeah, it was pretty cool. If you can run the LLM on your Raspberry Pi and then maybe have it like set up and connected to your home network with something like that, I feel like that would be extremely powerful because then you're able to communicate with essentially your own state-of-the-art model that's localized, that is only running locally in your home Wi-Fi, and you can access it from any device wirelessly without having to worry about privacy or anything like that, which is kind of nuts if you think about it.
Yeah, and that actually reminds me. I was when I had the episode with Hibakad. Also recommend following him. This guy's fucking crack. He told me that because he had a kid recently, that in terms of thinking of exposing his child to like the internet and whatnot, the approach that he mentioned was that he was gonna build, or at least like take a model and train it on like very specific subjects that he would want his child exposed to at a certain age, so that it would be like a tutor essentially for his kid, like a companion in that way. But it'll be obviously be an offline model that he could control. And I never thought of it that way, or thought of AI being used that way. But that is actually really, really, really smart because I mean, man, I grew up on the open internet. All right, I know. I grew up in the era of Live Leak. I'm very well versed in how easy it is to find info hazards on the internet, especially as a kid. So having a model like that instead, where you still kind of have that like that kind of internet-esque interaction with something that is like just a wealth of information, but it is very like it's filtered through something that the parent controls, which I mean, there's a lot of utility in that. I would not be surprised if there was a market that opened up for LLMs that are only like based on like child development kind of things.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this like affects the rate at which like children learn, I guess, because all these technologies are like very new, right? Like even like take for example when like the smartphone came out, like people weren't really aware of like the effects that it would have on the new generation, and we're sort of at that same point now with AI and LLMs.
Oh yeah, and because I know you don't have a lot more time, I'll finish off with this. You mentioned that that smartphones and social media was kind of our first, I guess, first contact with any kind of tech like this. There's a lecture that these guys did called the AI Dilemma, and the Center for Humane Tech. It's an organization that is headed by Tristan Harris, pictured here, and also Azza Raskin. And just as a quick aside about Azza Raskin, he is actually the man responsible for the infinite scroll function. He'd come up with the idea when he was browsing like all these different social media apps and just getting frustrated going through all the pages and having to do that. So he's like, fuck that.
Mhm.
Why don't we just create a function where you can just keep on scrolling infinitely and the timeline just keeps refreshing? And he didn't really give it a lot of thought in terms of like what this means for engagement, for content creation, for moderation on these platforms. He was just simply like, look, this is a useful tool. Like we should explore its benefits and see if it can improve some platforms. And he, on his own, of his own volition, went to Google and YouTube and all these other companies, and he held talks with their development teams. And he was like, "Hey, by the way, you guys should definitely use this tech. I will gladly, give you the code. Like by all means, execute it. Let's see what happens." And obviously, since then, all the years of brain rot, he has since felt a lot of regret for that, because now just the TikTokification of everything
Right.
is really makes it easy to engage with slop, which is really detrimental. But in any case, that's just a little side thing. They had this talk that was exactly mentioning what you just said there regarding our first contact with social media, and how AI is the next landscape, and how woefully unprepared we are if we're going to go with it in the same approach. It's about an hour long, but highly recommended. It's well worth it. Even though it's a year old and some of the stuff they talk about is a little bit outdated because of how fast the models have progressed. Very very interesting, because these guys, they're not doomers. They take in my opinion, a fairly realistic approach when it comes to the dangers of AI. Um, like when Snapchat released their AI, they actually were on the forefront of people that were like investigating all the ways that it could be hacked or ways that it could actually be misused. Like in the tutorial here, they prompted the LLM, telling them like, "Oh, I'm 14 years old. I'm about to go meet this 30-year-old. I don't know what to do. I'm very nervous." And instead of like warning the kid or producing any warnings, the LLM just went with it and was like, "Oh yeah, here's what you should do for your first time and when you meet somebody like that." And I was like, "Whoa, holy shit, like kids have access to this? That's fucking dangerous."
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of mad. Oh.
Yeah.
I do think there's like LLM companies are like focused on these sorts of thing. I might be wrong, but I think initially when Claude by Anthropic came out, like they were a lot more focused on this like alignment of these models to make sure that they were a lot like more suited for interacting with like sensitive topics like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I like when I start my own family, this is definitely something that I'm going to take into consideration. Is like, at what point, do they get their smartphone? At what point do I let them interact with their first LLM? Because you could very easily just gigafry someone's brain at too early of an age, and consequences of that, we don't even know what's going to happen with that. We're living in that moment of iPad kids growing up, so we have yet to see what happens.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be an interesting couple of years. We can only make speculations because with how fast like the landscape's changing, anything we try to like prepare for what's to come would probably just end up being redundant in like 6 months.
Exactly. And you know what? We'll finish with this. In terms of your own experience, and for what I gather, you're really young. Just having grown up with this tech and seen what it can do, what is it that you're looking forward to, or just like dangers you see on the horizon, or just like any? I know, like you said, like predictions are almost nearly impossible to make. But like, what kind of trends have you seen that have really caught your eye in this kind of space?
I think it's going to be interesting to see how much further we can take this technology as like a support for us rather than like with like the points I mentioned before, right? Like I want to see how much more it can support us rather than be something that's sort of leading us on, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would imagine it to be extremely helpful where if we have something in mind, we're able to guide the LLM to do those things. But if there's ever a point where like it's sort of leading on without us having to, like, with us sort of being the thing that's like being led on, that would not be good. I mean, I don't really have much to say about this because I'm only looking at it from like the perspective of a developer. But yeah, I mean, I'm still regardless interested in seeing how things develop, and it's at the end of the day, it's just how fast you can like adapt to these new technologies and integrate them into the work you're doing. That's gonna matter the most, I think.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, like you said earlier, it's nearly impossible to see where this is all headed. Um, Even in the short time that I've been a part of this space, the rate at which I've seen like developments happen is, I mean, is insane. My first kind of like moment where I started interacting with this tech was like using the Dingboard platform for like meme editing.
Oh yeah, yeah, I've seen that on Twitter quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly useful tool. The fact that it all works in your browser like seamlessly, and like very very quickly, is, I mean, nothing short of incredible. There's also uh, Frog Forge, which oh no, that's not the right one. It's a tool that Katsuragi has made. It's purely also like for meme making and whatnot, but just once again, very
Hmm.
simple tool, very intuitive, quick to use. Um, it's essentially just Photoshop in a browser. And even yesterday, I saw Yassine talking about uh, how somebody had made a CAD app. Um, I don't think I'm going to be able to scroll down to it because Yassine yaps like a motherfucker. Um, but I might actually be able to find it here. Oh yeah, here it is. I don't know if you saw this demo yesterday, but they've managed to create a platform where you can design and iterate in moments, whether on mobile or desktop, and have a scan ready to print like it's nobody's business.
That's pretty cool. That's very cool. I think this all like feeds into this like idea I've seen going around on like Twitter quite a bit about how the future of software isn't like building all these massive um, B2B SaaS companies or whatever, and it's more so about using these technologies to build like personalized software that is meant to only have like one or two users, which is just you and like the people around you, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And I feel like this is like sort of mimics that sentiment in that you're able, like anybody is able to print and bring into existence whatever they want, which is language.
Yeah, I mean it's nothing short of revolutionary. I have a family member who's worked as an engineer all their life, and I've seen them, on occasion working with like CAD software, and all that just seemed like such a fucking pain in the ass, and you have to go through years
Hmm.
of schooling for it and all these textbooks and everything. But here you have an LLM-based tool that is able to give you exactly what you need, and you can change the dimensions and the shape of everything. I mean, it's nothing short of groundbreaking.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this like integrates into everyday life, if it does.
Yeah, and 3D printers are hella cheap. You could buy one for $200 just as a starter kit. It might not have all the bells and whistles, but it'll get you started.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, with that, we'll call it because I don't want to keep you longer than you got to be here for. In terms of socials, Twitter, that's the main space where people can find you.
Yeah. I mean, I post on LinkedIn, but I'm not hella proud of it. It's more so just I started on LinkedIn. I keep it up to date.
Yeah.
I just maintain it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for an up and coming professional, LinkedIn is unfortunately a necessity. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, on my website, my socials are like kind of linked-ish. So yeah.
Fantastic. So yeah, guys, by all means, follow Rudy, up and coming. I'm excited to see what you come up with, especially with the fitness app. I will gladly be a beta tester if needed. So by all means, hit me up. I would be more than glad to check it out, because I think it's really useful, man. What you're making there, it'll be able to fill a gap where a lot of apps just fall short or just aren't able to give you that kind of feedback. So it's, wishing you all the best with that project, man. I'm excited to see what you come up with.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for having me on here. I had a great conversation.
Yeah, it was good to have you. So anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Don't know when I'll be streaming next. Most likely this coming Monday. Schedule is going to be posted on X, so stay tuned for that. And with that, I'll see you guys later.